Hello, good day, good afternoon, good evening, as usual, depending on the time and place where you are watching this video. My name is Adrian Fiette, designer, seller, and at this moment, a little explanatory about the RiskCopilot utility, the MetaTrader utility that will change the way you trade. That will improve, I'm sure it will improve the way you interact with the market. Ready? In the previous video, we had analyzed, let's say, the basic characteristics that we find on the home screen, how we could interact a little better with the RiskCopilot. Now we're going to go with the first mode, or what we know as the scout mode, or the preoperative mode, right? We are going to talk a little more about the interface. We are going to talk a little more about what we are doing and how we are doing it. So stay tuned, stay here with me, that we are going to work on that. Ready? So the scout mode. So let's analyze what we have in this scout mode that we have, or what interfaces and what we are interacting with. First, then remember that you can click and move to wherever you want. Click, move, and the panel follows you wherever you are. Ready? Now first, volume. We already know that it is the amount of lots or the amount of monetary units. If we are in Forex, the amount of money or the value of the stock, or depending on the market where we are, simply how big or how small our operation will be based on money, right?
The margin, which is how much money I need in my account to be able to open an operation, right? Which is like the safeguard that the broker has that you have enough money sufficient in your account to support the operation, depending on the leverage on the account. Keep that very much in mind. Now, this TP is how much is the take profit, or how much is your potential gain or your expected gain. The stop loss is your expected losses that will always be directly linked to what you want to risk per account. I have it at 0.5. So if we see that my account is at 78,320 times 0.005, that gives me that my risk is more or less between $390. So that's what I have here. How do I modify that? No problem at all. Remember that these lines are drag, meaning you can drag them, take and drag. So you take it, hold it, and drag it. And as you see, it opens automatically and it multiplies that. Now my take profit is at 1440, right? Now, what else do we have here in my interface? These blacks, you can change this black color of these titles. You can change from the home screen. So you know, right, if you want it in another color. Now the RRR, or the risk reward ratio, is like the ratio you have between how much you are risking and how much you are earning. So in my case, I am doing an operation of 392 euros, but I plan to earn 1427. That means that more or less, my ratio is 3.6. That is, for every dollar or for every euro that I am operating, I plan to earn 3.6.
So keep that in mind in your operations, right? The margin is also given here. It enters the volume, the price at which they are the price at the entrance. These tags follow the price, so don't worry, it will move by itself. And the stop loss too. It doesn't matter where you move it, it will automatically go down. You see that it is varying, obviously, because the market moves every tick, it changes the spread. So it tries to be as faithful as possible in each tick or in each market movement. And I have a rounding system for it, right? Because in some cases, let's say the step that exists between the lots, for example, let's analyze it here. Control U, and we go to the symbol. For example, let's talk about the US 30, right? The Dow Jones. So if we see here, for example, it is telling me that the minimum volume to operate is 0.01 and the step volume is 0.01. So this step volume is very important because in some cases, the step volume is 1, right? It doesn't take decimals into account. What happens if it doesn't take decimals into account and your risk where you are placing the stop loss is 1.2 or 1.3, but the step is 1 or 2. So the RiskPilot has a system that rounds, and it compares, well, the upper risk, which is 2, risks me, for example, more than 0.5%. It risks me, for example, 0.8, 0.9, but if I stay at 1, at a lot size of 1, a volume of 1, it risks 0.35, 0.4.
So it makes the decision and tells me it's better to risk a little less, which is what's closest to the original risk. So that's why there are those small variations. Keep that in mind, okay? So immediately it dynamically changes the volume for me. So that would be the pre-operative mode. Now to switch to sandbox mode or the backtesting or game mode, you change this tag and it automatically switches to that mode, which is the style of the entry line or how we're going to handle the entry line, dynamic or static. In this case, it's static because I'm going to do tests, but we'll talk about that in its corresponding sandbox mode video. Okay. Now this data toggle removes the data from here, that information in black. If you're not interested in seeing it, you can change it, right? And you can reactivate it. If you don't want to see the price tag, which is this, the tags at the price, you can remove them from here. I'm making a movement of the volume, I'm zooming to activate this because the market, at this time it's almost 12, the market is about to close. I hope we can record the video before the market closes. Every tick it updates. Since I don't have that many ticks right now, I update by simply zooming, right? So price tag, they appeared alone, and the lines. If you don't want to see the lines, you can also move them this way. So I'm not going to do anything there. I'm not going to move.
Let's wait for a tick in MetaTrader 5 and the MQL5 programming. The update frequency is directly related to the frequency at which the market is moving. There, the lines appeared. If you want the squares or the rectangles to be wider or thinner, you have these buttons here, right? When you want to go below a certain point, it will say that the minimum is 15, or the minimum would be what you configured from the home screen. So here, the same minimum that you configure, it's here, right? The minimum you configure here. Okay, activate the background, right? If I don't want to see that background, if I want to see it, if I want to hide and show the trade panel, and the deactivate limit activates and deactivates hardcore mode, or the mode where we force the price, right? The one we talked about in the video earlier. That if we force the price depending on the step and depending on the amount of money we have, it can show me a higher or lower risk. In this case, higher than what I want to risk. If I have it like that, it's allowing me to risk more than what I said at the beginning. If I deactivate it, it doesn't allow me to risk more than what I said at the beginning. That's scout mode. What else do we have? We have a button to minimize here. We can also move it. We can maximize. From here, we close it. Right? I'm not going to close it right now. From the gear, I can change the theme. For example, let's go to the Solarized theme. Solarized.
Before going there, and here we will hide and show with this little info, all the panel here, all this information referring to the time. So what is your local time? What is the server time if the market hasn't closed at this moment? The market, perfect. So the market is closed, and where can you see that information? You can see that information here when you go to the symbol in Control U. So for example, we are in the USD Japan, but this is a major Forex, so USD Japan, right? So here it tells me that the market is going to close more or less. It says it's closing between 23.55, right? It didn't manage to update here. If it updated here, it's because I don't have ticks, so the market doesn't update for me. So let's say that until 0005 we'll come back, but we don't need it at this moment. We're not going to operate. We're simply showing how this mode works. Okay, now that would be the compact interface, as I like to call it. Let's put this over here where it doesn't bother us. Now, if I want to go to the extended function, then what is the extended function, or what is the extended panel? The extended panel shows me many more many more statistics, many more parameters, many more values.
So the symbol, what type is the symbol? How much is my account? How much is my risk? How much is my commission, if there is any? How much is my spread? That is, how much is my difference at this moment between the buy and the sell? How much is my profit, which is this value, remember? How much is my loss, which is this value? And this loss normally has to be in consonance, right, between these two. These two should always be similar, or with variations that we have already analyzed, a maximum of 1%. Well, today, those are the data that have been given to us, which we will also talk about in another video later about what tests have been done and what we have done to guarantee the greatest reliability, and that everything I am saying here is fulfilled in different types of brokers in different types of systems, okay? How much is my RRR? How much is my loss to gain ratio, or my risk-reward ratio? How much is the volume? How many ticks to the stop loss? That is, how much distance is there from the entry line to the stop loss line in ticks? In pips, remember? Tick is the last decimal, pips is the penultimate decimal. For some who do intraday, who do scalping, who do edge, the ticks are very important because they are very small movements of the market. Here it tells you how much is the value of each tick, how much is the value of each pip also, as well as the ticks to the take profit and the pips to the take profit.
Now there is something different here in this expanded interface, which is the show graph. When I talk about the show graph, it shows me a graph that is purely statistical, or a visual aid that will show you in a spider chart that allows you to visualize a little better how your operation is. Let's say a graphic representation of your operation in these 5 categories that I think I will improve, add, remove, depending on how we evolve in the RiskPilot updates. How much is the expected payoff, right, of your account? How much is your win rate percentage from 0 to 100? How much is your percentage of winning long trades? How much is your percentage of short trades or sell trades winning? And sorry for that, and how much is your RR, or your risk-reward ratio? I have it from 0 to 3. So if you want to see that, if you don't want to see it, you can hide it. And in this part of my extended panel, I have more statistics, which are account statistics. How much is your net profit? That is, how much have you earned? How much have you lost in total? How much have you earned net gross? That is, how much is your gross profit? How much have been your gross losses? So obviously the net profit is the subtraction of these two. How much has the account fallen, or how low has been your drawdown? That is the minimum, or the lowest that account was is 2384.
How much is expected payoff, or is the statistic or the metric of MetaTrader where it tells you, doing a past calculation of a lot of variables, how much you can expect of payment for each, or how much is your payment for each trade? This is a speculative statistic, right? And how much have you paid in commissions? If your broker has a commission, it will give you a total of how much you have paid in commissions. It's important that you keep it in mind in those earnings, right? Because it is different that my account is $300 up, but I have paid $400 in commissions, ergo you are $200 down. Now, number of trades. How many trades have I closed? 87. How much has been the average of each trade, right? In the average profit of each trade or loss. How many long trades have I done, or in buy, what has been their winning percentage? How many trades to sell, and what has been their winning percentage? And how many trades have been closed technically or in stop? That means that in my case, let's put the example as this is a test account, let's say 97.7%, right? Of the trades I have done, of this 87 trades, have been closed manually 2.3% have been closed and stopped, that is automatically by stop loss or by take profit. So that is an important ethic to see if you're closing your manual operations or you are really letting the market run. So keep that in mind when you are doing your weekly, bi-weekly analysis of your operations.
And the win rate, the same, close trades 87. Your number of winning trades or your percentage of winning trades, how many winning trades do you have on those 87, and the percentage of the risk-reward ratio. Or what is the percentage? What is the average? And now we talk here about this green bar is the percentage of win rate, and this red bar is the percentage of lose trades. So this is basically the scout mode that allows you to move in that way, that allows you to make calculations, that allows you to pre-operatively, right, wait for your conditions to be given. Immediately when your conditions are given, all you have to do is buy or sell. At this moment, we cannot do it because the market is closed, but we will see it in videos later when we are talking about how we get to the operative mode, how to manage in the operative mode. But for now, being here in scout mode is the mode where it is a safe mode. It is a mode where you simply have to worry about the market to wait. If you are intradays, to wait for the conditions to be given. If you work with trends, if you work with patterns, if you work with figures, all you have to worry about is that your conditions in your strategy are given. And once they are given, we simply click on buy or and sell. Okay? Obviously, keep in mind the buy and sell settings. To buy, the take profit must be above the entry line and above the stop loss.
For the sale, the take profit must be below, something we had not talked about. If you now want to enter to sell, you simply have to drag the lines, that's all. That is the only thing you have to do, and it will update and move your volume. So obviously the volume does not change because I changed the take profit, but because I changed the stop loss. From 313, it goes to 667 because I went almost to half pips. So you already know how to look or how to move between sale and between purchase and scout mode, right? So keep in mind everything we have just talked about, implement it, play with the software, analyze it, see that it is an excellent strategy. It is an excellent way to work in this market. At the moment the market opened, it is already 0.5. 4.5 has already passed. So thank you very much. See you in the next video where we will talk about sandbox mode or back testing mode. Thank you very much. Take care. Leave me a comment if you need to know something else. Success, and until next time, guys.